And you have captured our attention as you have captured us on your video. What a nice coincidence we have for coming back to a place we've never left, in a time we've never been, to a consciousness we cannot comment on. We shall not comment on. Why spoil the fun at this point? We leave trails of hints, but they are obscure enough that you may consider them invisible frequency ink. But if you look at them in the right light, with the right intentions, and the barometric pressure is perfect, you may find other clues or pieces of the puzzle which you may not even have known exist. And you are all excellent pieces of puzzles and puzzle makers in quality and vibrations and detail, of which you then weave into your physical experience. It is the marvel that goes behind the marvel, which adds to the marvel. Your language works out to be synchronous in itself. Obviously, not an accident. The only accidents are people believing there are accidents. Let them. And before you had a question for our lovely host consciousness, the great Rabbi William. Indeed, it was a greater energy than what was displayed for you in the session. For being more reserved is his way in his personal appearance. And we have adjusted our normal windshield wiper, ceiling gazing, for the human was experiencing a bit of muscle fatigue, which he could easily remedy if he knew how, although he knows how. And speaking of your question, was your answer satisfactory? We are only asking because your face and your energy said no, and your voice said yes.
You're being wonderfully poetic. Well, one needs to respect the energies.
Ooh, interesting. And you term that respect, not being worthy of authenticity. Please continue.
You know our human nature. We are curious.
Ooh,
Yes, we find ourselves.
rationalization. Chalk up another verb for this conversation. Yes. No, you don't expect us to behave. To answer your question.
Well, I would appreciate a couple of more hints.
More specifics?
There, well, are we supposed to be asking personal questions? I know it's expected to for questions to be voiced that would more benefit the collective. But then again, some of the collective might have similar questions.
And where on earth would you get the idea that asking a personal question would not benefit the collective?
Yes, that's
Where,
yes.
where we wish to find out where that seed is so we may grab it because that will be the very first one that has ever been made in the history of reality. But there are no limits. But you have just invented something very novel. We
Yes,
got
I
lost
realize
on
the
the
contradiction.
majesty of that moment. So, please continue. You were
Um,
talking about your question.
yes, it was this perception of myself. Like I was saying that I feel I have always felt like the observer since I came into this body. I have been observing and I could not understand the human ways. So I felt like the alien. So now when I observe my linear past time in this life, I recognize a lot of power. So, like, my mother had, for example, several miscarriages, and then I came in. That's a strange coincidence. So now you're gonna say, oh, we could tell her that, but we can't.
Oh no, there are lots of details we could fill in for you. For indeed, there were, as far as your parents concerned, each of those individuals had their own viability for as long as they wished. The end, it seems, not our clearest of visions. One of those was just to experience the pregnancy on behalf of the woman who did not, in her heart, wish to have it come forth. And you personally, you do not remember wholeheartedly with great detail the other yous you have been, the years and childhood memories are there, but lack the vitality because your focus is elsewhere. For you understand that this is, in ways, a minor undertaking of the greater powers of which you wield, of the realities you support, of the encounters you create and entail. And the companion you have chosen is another indicator. And we sense those roles have switched at times. The word familiar is not so much the connotation that most understand as being associated with beings inhabiting creatures. In truth, it is more having relationships with those forms of consciousness in other identities and then rejoining in new ways to explore new avenues of creation, joined and joined with others, and all are free to go their separate ways as they choose. But you have activated the deep rememberings, the ones which have been taken out of storage, so to speak, and are being ready to be utilized. In your anxiousness, you choose to leave in scope in some ways your 3D realm. We suggest that you more fully embrace it by feeling your environment is you and understanding that although things may be beyond your reach with your hands, it is you if you look at it from the right perspective. And the hand and the air in between are you touching you, the book. For it is the glory of the physical form which helps open up the doors, the focus on the greater vitality of the senses. Not only the discernment, but the growth within them. Now, you will take from that what you will, and more still as time unfolds. For you have already glimpsed yourself, the parts which you cannot bring to more of your conscious awareness. But it is not the 3D world holding you back. It is all things in their time. And embracing that reality while not identifying with it will aid your it is more than an expansion. It is a satisfaction of unpuzzling knots to establish clarity which you crave. And we hit the record button just in time. We trust we did not put you to sleep.
I am all ears and very grateful for spending time with us.
And how many ears would that take for you to be all ears? We suggest a little more variety. Perhaps mix in an elbow or a kidney from time to time.
Yes, they are listening as well.
Were there other questions which you require satisfactory answers for?
Yes,
That will
but
be our secret about our previous conversation about the previous conversation.
well, you spoke of a companion, but I actually have two companions with me. Were you referring to them?
It is a referral. Your language has brought up an alternative referral for wow. It does not have the same joining aspects. It understood a good opportunity and hopped right in. Hmm. There was an unwanted home. Reasons are unclear, but you will find kind hearts most accommodating in most realms, and avenues of expansion exist for all who desire them, regardless of the consciousness which is doing the desiring. And your other kitty asks you to be more direct and to speak to it. There's no need for outside help. In addition, it advises you not to trust my advice.
But I am always direct.
But that is a human taint. We understand. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Oh, and the weariness has come to this one,
Yes.
and the fading has commenced, and we shall take our leave. And it shall not deter us from returning again.
Thank you for your visit.
And we thank you for enabling us to come forth with things of value besides the smiles and the exchanges. And grace and gratitude for you all.
Thank you.
I think there was another being in there too.
Yes.
It wasn't, yeah, it started out being the Usol and then things changed. They were happy. And they went into detail, which I have never gone into before.
I agree.
the stuff about the cats. Was it a feral?
What?
We have two cats. Where, how did you get them?
Oh, it's actually funny because, well, my last cat, I had to put her to sleep. And after a while, a period of depression and healing and whatever, well, not healing really, but whatever, I eventually decided to get two cats. I wanted two cats because, if I'm out, then they're not alone, right?
So they
So,
weren't kitties, right?
no. And so I was looking on the internet, and there was this ad from this woman that had two cats. And at first glance, there was something that I didn't like about the energy, and I looked and looked elsewhere. But in the end, there seemed to be no other option. So it was those two cats that I ended up getting.
So you don't know what their history was before you got them.
Sort of, I do.
Oh,
One of them had a very tough time because he was one of the breeding cats. You know how
oh,
they breed
yeah.
them, but he was very sick, and the person that had him wanted to get rid of him. He gave him to this woman, but she also didn't really take care of him. So when I got him, he was in a terrible state. So the first thing I did was get a vet here and have him completely shaved because his whole body was matted.
Wow. God. And they picked up
And
on that, didn't they? They got that part right. I guess you were kind of saying, wow, this is pretty cool, because they were really talking about your cats. And one
yes,
of the cats has been a companion with you, and you guys have you have swapped places where you were the cat.
really?
Yes, that's what they were talking
Wow.
about. They mentioned that.
Yes, I wasn't sure I was understanding this
Yeah,
correct.
you are a companion and you exist together in other realms at times.
Because
I got the impression it was more together than you ever were apart. Like apart was more like a change of pace or a special project or, somebody else needed something to be joined with or whatever. But that you guys did this tag team thing.
it's funny because I've spent a lot of time where I felt like he was my rock, because I would sleep with my head on him, and I felt so much support, and I would really sleep on him, and the head is heavy, yes, and I would
That's,
even drool. And I would wake up, with my head on his body and me drooling on him. And I was thinking, oh, goodness me,
oh,
poor
that's love,
thing.
man. That's love.
So, and he often comes now when I lie and he lies on top of my head.
Wow.
So with him, and I call him the sticker, is one of his nicknames, because wherever I am, he will come next to me and have contact.
And they brought in another being to answer your questions.
That was I'm very grateful for this experience.
But I'm still buzzing because I, I've I mean people have asked, specific questions on stuff and I don't know. I don't know that I've ever answered anything and got that because they said it was a referral. And they were kind of referring that your companion cat said that this would be a good environment for for that other cat. And that was the other cat that did not have a good owner. And you just explained that. And
Yeah.
that fits right in. That's what, and then they said that referral thing. Apparently, it was wild at one point or whatever, but I didn't get the impression. I didn't know if they were saying it was a feral and it was being rehomed, or if it was a referral, but I don't know if they were adding that other. thing onto it or not. I don't know. Yeah, but I do know I'm fading. Woohoo!
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we've been at it for a while.
Yes.
4.5 hours.
Yeah.
What fun. Well, cool. Well, I'll wrap up this thing and I will shoot you a probably a Google link.